Time for the prelude. I think it's time for the prelude, right?
Ring out the old, ring in the new, ring happy bells across the snow. The year is going, let him go. Ring out the false, ring in the true. Ring out the grief that saps the mind. For those that hear, we see no more. Ring out the feud of rich and poor. Ring in redress for all humankind. Ring out wild bells to the wild sky, the flying cloud, the frosty light. The year is dying in the night. Ring out wild bells and let him die. Ring out false pride in place and blood, the civic slander and the spite. Ring in the love of truth and right. Ring in the common love of good. Ring out old shapes of foul disease. Ring out the narrowing lust of gold. Ring out the 1,000 years of war. Ring in 1,000 years of peace. Ring out wild bells to the wild sky, the flying cloud, the frosty light. The year is dying in the night. Ring out wild bells and let him die. The year is dying in the night. Ring out wild bells and let him die.
That's a keeper, Ellen. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, my beloved. Good morning. That was pretty good. That was pretty good for January. Not bad at all. Well, good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Pittsburgh. It is Saturday. Yeah. Delete. It is Sunday. Yes, January 5th of 2025. And I am Reverend Dr. Kate R. Walker. I use the she, her pronouns, and I am honored to serve as the minister of this beloved community. I am wearing a brown dress with a high collar and a beautiful shawl that I bought with multiple colors of orange and blue and tan that I, yes, bought in India. And it does remind me of that beautiful, beautiful country. I am a middle-aged, light-skinned female. My hair is mid-length, it's light brown, I wear glasses, and I'm delighted to see all of you with my glasses this morning. You are welcome here, and if you are on YouTube with us live, we're just delighted to have you choose to be with us this morning, or if you're in the future at some point, we preach to the future as well. We do, not just the present. And we're delighted to have anybody who chose to come out into this cold and to be in this warm place of love and song and celebration. And we are a multi-faith religious community where all are welcome, diversity is celebrated, questions are expected, answers are sometimes supplied, constantly being asked, and you are welcome just as you are in your fullness and beauty and wholeness. We have a few things going on. Just because it's January doesn't mean things are quiet. So after service at 12 o'clock to about 12:45 or so, there is a discussion on the theme of the month, which is intersectionality. I do this on the first Sunday of the month. Intersectionality, we'll hear more about that in our sermon today. But that'll be in the Priestley room, which is down the hall there and to your left in the religious education wing. That's again 12 to 12:45 in the Priestley room. We are also a community that I am so proud of, that we have built into our systems a process of self-reflection. Of once a year, we pause and ask how we're doing and what is our goals. And one of the mechanisms we use is a committee called VIM, which is Vision, Identity, and Mission. And the team is gearing up for our annual conversations with some wonderful questions, and they would like your participation. They're going to create several small circles of 10 to 12 people that they invite you to have conversations about how this church is doing in the world right now. It's a great way to meet new people, connect, renew old friendships, and begin new ones. So today, during social hour, you are welcome to go downstairs and meet Alice, Joan, or Kathy, and they will get you signed up for one of those cottage meetings. And please make it a priority. It is really a great mechanism that we have within our community to start just asking some questions about how we're doing in this world. Now, it is cold outside, I understand, but no worries, we're going to address that as well. At the end of the month on January 25th, from 6 to 8:30, we're having a fabulous chili cook-off and game night. So you can already starting to warm up, aren't you? January 25th, the end of the month, from 6 to 8:30. This is a free event, open to all ages, lots of games. You are welcome to start working on your recipe now for your chili as you enter it into the competition. So you can sign up this again during social hour today and start imagining yourself nice and warm and toasty at that time. I invite you to take a deep breath and arrive in body, in spirit. And soon we will be bringing our voices together in song and celebration. We'll be bringing our meditation and prayer time together. We'll be entering into silence, connecting with one another in this really sacred space of time. Welcome. We turn to our chalice lighting, the symbol of our faith and our call to worship. This bright flame, in the darkness of winter, may it guide us as we seek hope. May this flame guide us in the complexity of life. As we ask today, how does our faith as Unitarian Universalists guide us on our journey? How does this beacon bring us back to life and hope? Welcome, welcome to you all. I invite you to rise as you're able in body and spirit for 259. We three kings of Orient are, the time of the Epiphany.
Please be seated. Our collective reading is new today, so I want to talk you through it for those who have no idea what's going on and offer a reminder to those who do. Over the last 2 years, Unitarian Universalism as a movement and a religion has been reviewing the principles that have guided us for the last several decades. And through talking to many, many congregations, working through this in many small meetings, lots of wordsmithing, lots of care and compassion given to it, they've arrived at a new articulation of our covenant in form of 6 values surrounding the central idea of love. So the sort of way this works is there's love, or how I like to think of it. There's love at the center, and what does love mean? Well, it means practicing these 6 values. And what does that mean? They offer a sentence for each, and then after the sentence, there's a couple paragraphs. And then some wonderful UU theologians have written very long essays about that. We thought it would be too much to recite 500-word essays together, and maybe too little to recite just the values. And so we've chosen that first level down of the one sentence that the UUA has figured out for what these values mean to us. And then Reverend Kate and I have just added the words "to practice" before each of those. So otherwise, the language is what's in the UUA bylaws. It's what every church in our movement is seeing. But we think it's important to center these values not just as things that we care about, but also as things that we do. So for the spring, we'll be doing a tripartite rotation of the 2 collective readings we've been doing in the fall and this one. And then at the end of the spring, we will issue a warm goodbye to the principles which have guided us for so long and move just over to the values in recognition of all the thought that has gone into them and the ways that they uphold the voices of more and more people than ever before. So that's the background. As with all the collective readings, it's in your order of service. And, join your voices with mine. I'm going to try to go through it a little slowly because I know there are new words. So please join your voices with mine as you are able. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We covenant to practice interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. To practice pluralism, we celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. To practice justice, we work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. To practice transformation, we adapt to the changing world. To practice generosity, we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. To practice equity, we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. I now invite up Reverend Kate for a story.
I think I'm definitely, no, I'm up, there we go. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna need some help with this story. And I wonder if anybody, if young in body and age and heart wants to join me up here. Anyway, I really love some help. Come on down. There's gonna be some sound effects going on. Yeah. Come on in, have a seat. Yeah. Anybody else? Young in body, heart, and spirit. That's pretty broad. Come on down. Yeah. Hey. All right. Oh, there's more. They just keep coming from out from under the pews. Fantastic, fantastic. So this is a story I think we all know, but we don't usually think about this story very much, even though it's happening right in front of our noses. It's kind of wild. I'm going to give the credit for how this story goes, though, to the explanation of the story to Janine Grosmeyer, who's a wonderful children's author. Janine Grosmeyer. So come on down. There's also room on the pews for those who really want to be brave. Okay, I'm going this way. There we go. Excellent. I like, yeah. The pews, excellent. Okay. So this is a story that begins in winter, kind of like right now, right? It's cold outside, and out under the earth, just under the topsoil, a little bit of that snow is a seed, and it's waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's hanging out there under the cold snow and in that frozen topsoil. And it's waiting for the earth to tilt and the sun to start beating down on it and to warm the earth and bring the rains. And the seed begins to pop up out of the soil. And it's pushing and it's reaching for the sun. Can anybody help me reach? Okay, reaching for the sun, and suddenly it's summertime, and it's warm, and it's reaching out, and it's starting to grow its own seeds. And then the earth shifts again, and there's cold on the edges of the days, and they're starting to grow darker again, and the leaves are starting to turn just a little bit, and the seed releases all its own little seeds across into the wind, and the wind picks it up and carries those seeds over the rivers and down the hills and up the mountains and into different fields. And those seeds then start to dig in and rest in the new soil. And our seed is there, and it's ready for winter. And it gets buried again. But the new seed is out there. It's waiting, it's hanging out. But one of its neighbor comes along, little mouse. What do mice sound like? Excellent, yeah. So this mouse is hungry. It knows winter is coming. So it's twitching its ears. It's twitching its nose because it knows other hungry creatures are out there too, but it is looking for food to hang out for the winter time. And what does it smell? Oh, it smells that seed. And it scritches, and it gets that seed, and it swallows it. Dinner, excellent. And the mouse was good. But another neighbor was in that field, there on the edges of the field, and it was moving through the old leaves are starting to decay, and it too is hungry. It's a snake. It wants food for winter. It knows winter's coming, and it needs food, and it's flicking out its little tongue, and it senses with its tongue. What do snakes sound like? And what does it sense? That mouse. It surprises that mouse. It comes up behind and snap, dinner. And the snake was good. The snake is cruising along, but there's another neighbor. Way up high in the sky is a hawk. And it is looking for its food. It too knows dinner needs to be had because winter is on the edge. And the hawk is scouring that field, and there on the edge it sees that snake cruising along, and the hawk makes a big dive down, bam, grabs that snake, dinner. And it was good. The snake and the mouse are now with the hawk. And that hawk needs eating to keep surviving, but that's an older hawk, and its muscles and its wings don't work as well, and its eyesight is not as good. What does a hawk sound like? Oh, good, we got a lot of hawk lovers here. Excellent. But this hawk is getting older, and it's getting hungry, and then one day, just the beginning of winter, it dives down one last time, and it hits the ground, and it dies. And it's lying there in the ground through the winter, and its body just lies there. It gets cold and it freezes, but then the earth tilts again, and it warms, and there's rain, and there's sunshine. What does the rain sound like? Yeah, and it feels good. And what's coming out of the soil now around the body of the hawk are flies and ants. And they're starting to nibble at the body of the hawk. And they're happy now. They're having their dinner. And their other little critters are taking the bones from that hawk. And the flies, they start laying larvae. Now we're getting gross now. We're ready for this? And out of that also comes, ready for it? Maggots. Oh. And the maggots are eating the hawk body. And everybody is fed, and pretty soon the hawk body is gone. But inside that hawk body was a snake and a mouse and a seed. And the seed begins to sprout up again with the sun, and it begins to reach up into the sky and enjoy the summer. This is called what? The cycle of life, eating, procreating, and dying. It is what we call one of our most important values. What is it? The inner dependent web of existence. Excellent. Is one of our most important values. It's the interdependent web of existence, or the web of life. And so we have seeds and mice and snake and hawks and maggots, but we also have caribou, yeah? And we have lichen, and we have bacteria. They were helping, and moss. And we have, what else? Frogs, and what else is out there? Crickets, yes. Alligators and humans. It's all out there, and it's also right here. But sometimes we forget that the interdependent web of life and all that we value, we're part of it. It's not out there, it's right here. Yeah, so when you go out today, think about out under the soil are all these seeds. They're ready to sprout in the spring. And that, for me, is a sign of hope. Yeah. I think we're going to sing our children out with "From you I receive, to you I give." And you guys all know those words, but they're in the order of service as well. Thank you all.
It's a new year, and something that gets missed sometimes is that a new year also means a new month. And poor little January keeps getting forgotten about because everyone thinks, new year. But we know what a new month means. It means a new Share the Plate partner for us. Our Share the Plate, half the donations go to our basic operating budget. Half of the donations go to the nonprofit that we partner with. And we'll be hearing more about this group next week. Yes, I have mine right here. Thank you. And their name is Breaking the Chains of Poverty. And so what this group does is it does professional training for people and then sets them up with job interviews to help them form a self-sustaining life where they're able to make a income for themselves and for their family. So if you're able, I think this is one of the very best types of nonprofits, those that help people get the skills to help themselves. And I know that December is a month of giving, but for us in this interdependent web of all existence, all months are months of caring for our neighbors. And so if you have anything to share, whether it be 1 penny or 2 pennies or $20,000, it would be very welcome. Thank you. I now invite up our ushers to receive the offering.
So the words of my song this morning are 120 years old, so they are a little old-fashioned. Just a heads up.
I leaned upon a coppice gate when frost was spectre gray, and winter's dregs made desolate the weakening eye of day. The tangled vine stems scored the sky like strings of broken lyres, and everyone that haunted night sought their household fires. The land's sharp features seemed to be the century's corpse outland, its crypt the cloudy canopy, the wind its death lament, the ancient pulse of germ and birth was shrunken, hard and dry, and every spirit upon earth seemed fervorless as I. At once a voice arose, amid the meek. At once a voice arose amid the bleak twigs overhead, in a full-throated, even song of joy limited. An aged thrush, frail, gaunt, and small, in blast beruffled plume, had chosen thus to fling its soul upon the growing gloom. So little cause for caroling, so little cause for caroling, of such ecstatic sound was written on terrestrial things afar or nigh aground, that I could think there tremble through his happy good night air some blessed hope whereof he knew, and I was unaware.
Thank you, Ellen. Wonderful. Each of us carries so many joys, particularly for music today, in our hearts. But throughout the holidays, I know many of you had some family and good food and safe travels. But we also carry sorrows deep in our hearts. We are certainly caring for the deep sorrow for all the people and their families from New Orleans with a horrific act of brutality and murder. And I learned yesterday through Bob Mitchell that one of the members of the South Hills, Sunny Hill Church, that her father was one of the people who was hit. He was not killed, but he is facing considerable lengthy surgery. It is in many ways just a 1 degree of separation in this world too often. So let us hold in our hearts all those people from New Orleans. And we continue to hold the people of Gaza and Palestine and Israel. We continue to hold the people of Ukraine in our hearts and so many places in this world. So many people. I invite you now into a time of silence and meditation and personal prayer. May the spirit of winter hold us in its embrace, of a place of waiting, of a place of comfort within the mist, of community and love. As the earth continues to turn and the sun gives us life, may we feel ourselves grounded even when our earth beneath us is so cold and frozen. It holds our deepest values and our deepest commitment to its care. As we seek to create a world of love and care, of justice and beauty, may we remember to stay grounded as we engage in this life, to stay grounded in one another, with our bodies placed firmly within the earth's embrace. May the spirit of life and love and all that is so sacred in our lives, let us breathe, breathe, breathe with love. Amen. Blessed be. Ashe. I invite you to stay seated and bring our voices together for 55, Dark of Winter.
Dark of wind, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind.
Please remain seated and turn to number 666 in your hymnal, The Legacy of Caring. This is a responsive reading by the UU minister Tandeka. Despair is my private pain, born from what I have failed to say, failed to do, failed to overcome. I turn to you to renew my life. I turn to the world, the streets of the city, the worn tapestries of the brokerage firms. Rage and pain in the faces that turn from me, afraid of their own inner worlds. From within this world, my despair is transformed to hope.
I don't like to admit what I'm about to tell you. I sometimes get lost. I have a really good sense of direction. So when I get lost, it's particularly unnerving to me. Well, in this particular time of getting lost, I was in college. It was winter break of my junior year, and three of us, two of my friends from college, we were in Venice, Italy. We had just arrived on the train, stepped out of the train station, clear that we were headed for our hostel. Well, it didn't take long to realize we were going to get lost. And indeed, we were. If you've seen, even just seen the streets of Venice, you know the twisting, the bridges, the confusing street names. You can walk 2 blocks and the street name changes 4 times. We thought we knew we were going. We had that confidence. We truly did. But we soon found ourselves completely confounded, going every which way, seeing a road that we thought we wanted, and then a bridge, and then no bridge. We just tried to breathe and bear through it again and again. There were so many decisions every time we reached a new intersection or a new bridge. Is this the one? Decisions after decisions. And it got very frustrating, of course, as you can imagine. And I began to humbly recognize that even a professional cartographer would get lost in Venice. It was very confusing with its bridges and its old geography. To paraphrase Yogi Berra, we were lost, but we were making good time. My friends and I decided to rely on faith, that the hostel would magically appear to be, as we wandered the city streets, stone after stone, bridge after bridge. Yeah, that didn't happen either. There was no magic. We were lugging our backpacks and we're getting increasingly tired, and it was getting increasingly dark, and we could not find that hostel. Now, if we had a compass, I wondered, would it have helped? Probably not. What we needed was human help. What we needed was to ask for help. The vast, confusing streets and the intersections in Venice, Italy is a metaphor for me for our theme of the month, intersectionality. It's a sociological framework that attempts to capture the complex weaving of our needs and our wants while we hold complex, multiple identities. The term was coined in 1989 by Kimberly Crenshaw. She analyzed the intersection of power dynamics and the impact on marginalized communities. And Crenshaw was a civil rights advocate and a scholar in critical race theory. And as a Black woman, she was speaking from experience. She received a great deal of applause and affirmation for her groundbreaking ideas. And she was also attacked for what she was trying to tell people. Today, I want to use intersectionality as a lens for living with and without hope. Intersectionality presents a complex web of decision-making about power, injustice, health, wholeness, integrity, agency. And if we look at intersectionality like a map of the human journey, the constant barrage of decisions and what to do, where to go, how we're going to get there, like the streets of Venice and, okay, like the streets of Pittsburgh, if we're really going to make this personal, it gets overwhelming. It's another powerful image, though, if I may overlap our Unitarian Universalist value of interconnected web of existence. They both offer us a lens of how to look at the complexity of life and a powerful tool, an image that we can lean on about life's vast networks. But it also recognizes in those intersections of our conflicts, tensions points, where our values come clashing into one another, particularly around power and privilege. As we follow on this journey in these lines of intersectionality and the interconnected web of existence, whichever metaphor you prefer, those places where we come together, we have to negotiate how to live, how to eat, how to procreate, how to die together with minimal suffering. However, we might get lost again and again in this network, these ancient streets of Venice. We may need a professional cartographer to help us negotiate the intersectionality of life, or we may lose hope. Too often, what happens when we get to those intersections is we can't make up our mind. We feel overwhelmed. We can't make decisions. In worst case scenarios, we make rash decisions and we end up with war, climate crisis. We end up with government oppression under tyranny. Horror, truly horror, and poverty and illness happens. On a small scale at those intersections, we can argue over coffee or tea, SUVs or electric, pajamas or nightshirts, dogs or cats. But these decisions matter. And if we hang out in those hawk-like lens view of the world and the interconnected web, it can begin to trigger reactions and feelings. We can feel disempowered, frustrated, retreat to apathy. We disconnect. We shut off our emotions. And we bring in some guilt. You gotta have some guilt. And we lose hope. When we contemplate this human progress from the hawk eye view, it's understandable we begin to wonder, is this the end times? Should we be piling up food in the basement? We look frantically for signs of human progress, but yet we're faced constantly with challenges of creating hope in our heart when we see so many signs of suffering and the potential for more. And as we begin 2025, we religious liberals face that challenge yet again with the recent election. And it's tempting to stall out on our journey, to retreat, because it seems like there are too many choices and we feel disempowerment hanging on to our joints and our hearts. So how do we get reoriented? How do we find that place of refuge and energy, activism? How do we find our way into a place where we feel like we can be a part of this world? Well, I offer you on this journey what we need is a compass, but a special kind of compass, a moral compass. I offer you a story of what a moral compass can do when we need help. Unitarian Universalist Jeffrey Lockwood is a writer. He's an ecologist and he likes to travel. He found himself in Russia, in one of the great intersectional places of the world, an airport. And it was in the days before flights were on a screen when you could track your flight number and where to go. Everything was over through an ancient, badly designed public announcement system. And he realized pretty soon, even if he understood Russian, he was not going to hear when his flight was being announced. And he had his boarding pass, but that was not enough. Every once in a while, there'd be another garbled message, and a group of people would suddenly lift up their bags and en masse head for the door out into a bus, and the bus would take them out to the plane that was waiting on the tarmac. And he wondered how he was going to know when it was his turn to be amongst. And he thought, I have 4 numbers, 4 digits for my flight number. If I can find somebody else with a boarding pass who has the same 4 numbers, there be my hope. He looked to the person to his left, an older gentleman slumped down with his boarding pass buried in a book. No go there. He looked to his right, and there was a young girl who had her boarding pass poking slightly out of her pocket, and he could see that there were 2 numbers that were the same as his. 2, a glimmer of hope. He leaned in to get a closer look, and she sensed that he was there, and she looked at him, and he communicated his boarding pass number and pointed to hers, and she quickly understood, and sure, lo and behold, same boarding pass number. And she turned and communicated this to her mother and her brothers and siblings who were all there. And he quickly understood in about 10 seconds that he had been adopted by this family. It was just a done deal. And they communicated to each other as best they can, and when another garbled message came over, the mother went into full-blown attack mode, directed the kids to pick up his bags, grabbed him by the elbow, and they flustered and pustered and pushed her way to the front of the queue, got him on that shuttle and out to the plane, and settled into his flight and had his bags. He was cared for. He was taken care of. One of the blessings of travel is we were often put into the position of asking for help from others, to be genuinely needful of the stranger. And our illusion of self-reliance as quickly evaporates as the unexpected and the unfamiliar show how vulnerable we are to one another. So we often forget the gift of authentic need and that need for trust. We express to another person the most amazing cross-cultural phrase ever shown and heard. Please help me. Please help me. That is a moral compass. Those words are due north to safety. The moral compass that reminds us of the intersectionality of our lives includes friends and strangers, and we intersect 1,000,000 times each second, and each moment we can bring brought into safety of our hostel, or we could be brought into horror. But we have to ask. Hannah Arendt, the great German-American political theorist and philosopher, she was reflecting about the horrors of post-World War II, 2 world wars, and she was reflecting about the loss of a moral compass in that wake. She gave an analysis of the loss of knowledge and trust and the breakdown of that and the post of that traditional turmoil, those 2 world wars, and all the massive changes that our planet was experiencing in that new modern era. She bemoaned, as she said, world alienation characterizing the modern era, the destruction of a stable, institutional, and experiential world that provided stable context in which humans could organize their collective existence. The fabric of life had been shattered. In her analysis, Arendt expresses concern for the moral basis by which to judge. As she said, there is so much new, unexpected, unanticipated in the modern world. She wrote this decades ago. She died in 1975. As she said, we no longer have a reliable and constant framework to make moral judgments and decisions, or categories of understanding of change at such a pace that we are left to independent human faculty unsupported by law or public opinion. Yet, judgment must nevertheless be acted upon, leaving individual and society in moral crisis unseen and modern history. Her words ring true to today, so many decades later. And I believe now we're still in unknown territory at risk of being morally lost. We need a compass. While society may not be in complete agreement about what is morally right, what is justice, we yearn to advocate, we learn to advance the cause of morality for one simple reason: because we are caring human beings. Tandayaka, in her beautiful words that we shared with one another, those were searing words reminding us of the legacy of caring, of the heaviness of the struggles of compassion for one another, that the weight, but yet we must do it. We yearn to help the stranger as much as we need to ask for help from the stranger, yet we are often immobilized when we feel overwhelmed by too many decisions and choices. And yes, our moral compass is complex. At each point in the journey, we are giving moments to pause as we look at overwhelming choices. But a moral compass is also, in that moment, an invitation. It's an invitation to choose, to start with one act, one step, one movement, just one, which leads to a second and a third. And then we find ourselves back in the momentum. And then we realize that there are tools available to us to help us make those decisions. So I'm going to give you 5 tools today. For those who like to write things down, that's 5. These are tools that you have used frequently, but we underestimate their effectiveness, their impact, their capacity to make change happen. And those tools are charity, witness, advocacy, allyship, and protest. All of these come with a big caveat. If we are self-identified as a white, cisgendered, working class or upper class, privileged, educated person, and we are working with people who identify as Black, Indigenous, people of color, then we must ask for permission. We must be invited to engage in any of these important acts. Use these tools. Whether it's a BIPOC individual or community, we need to make sure that the agency of power and change remains in their hands. So charity, money, we're good at that. Makes a difference. Write a check, hand over the credit card and the cash, and we can't do much without it, frankly. It does help for when we can't do much else, but it is about empowering and affecting change. Being witness, number 2, being witness, we offer witness to one another. We offer our humanity and our compassion to those who are suffering, and we record their stories. Imagine a little girl trapped in an attic in Amsterdam who didn't write a journal about her experience in World War II. All she did was she put down the words as a witness and changed the world. Advocacy, to speak on behalf of those who have lost their power or their voice to speak for themselves. Advocacy, to be an ally, to work with, dialogue, support, remind those that they are not alone. And protest, to demonstrate, to be in resistance, to march, to sign your name, to be arrested, engage in civil disobedience, to show up. All of these are important tools that we have in our toolkit with us at all times. And any of these tools not only require permission from those you're working with, but they also require self-reflection. We need to think about what we're doing as we do it. And I gotta say, progressive liberals, we generally don't like to think about how we're doing in self-reflection, but it's so, so important. I'll give you a couple of examples. Remember the Occupy Wall Street protest? There they were hanging out. They were in DC, they were in New York, they were in cities, other cities as well, Portland, probably Seattle. And here they were, and this is what they said on their website: "We kick the ass of the ruling class." That's what they thought. That's what they truly thought. That was on the masthead. I was impressed, and I was also concerned. It was a nonviolent attempt at social change made by courageous, young and old alike, attempting to create an egalitarian governance right within their own camp and to impact others in the face of undemocratic principles that they were trapped in. They recognized their sense of powerlessness in the face of vast wealth and materialism and the lack of power and influence with their elected officials. So they got together and they rejected the hierarchical authority within their own system as they spoke with one voice. It was powerful, particularly on social media and on the news, as they rejected structures of power and hierarchy. Were they effective? It's a long-term lens to ask that question, but did they get the impact they wanted? Short answer is probably not. The impact was minimal, and I believe it was in part because they mistrust of power and authority. They had little ability to really impact change, and they lacked that important step of self-reflection. Are we having the impact we want? Example 2 was offered by David Brooks back in 2013 in his, it was August of 2013 in his article it was in the New York Times. It was an op-ed in the New York Times in 2013, and reflected on the principles behind nonviolent protest and looking at the March on Washington, the anniversary of the March on Washington, and those principles led by Dr. King. He said the idea was to reduce ugliness in the world by reducing ugliness in yourself. As befitting, it was largely a religious movement, the idea that not only to change society, but to work on inner transformation. Did we do it? Some successfully, some not so much. But it is a constant need to reflect on how we are doing when we use those tools. A carpenter picks up a saw, they will look to see if the saw is being effective. Like those 3 kings who were following a star that we sang about this morning, they were looking for religious omen, for hope, because they were lost. And I deeply believe that when we're lost, when hope is crushed, the best place to find a moral compass is and always will be the religious community. Despite the painful problems with abuse throughout history that religion has thrown at humanity, but the recent decreasing relevancy of the church, particularly the covenantal church, I think it is so, so important that we remember our importance as a moral compass in this world, that we must do so to publicly proclaim and loudly reclaim our place in society. And the best place to provide stable institutions and experiential world, as Hannah Arendt was calling for, to organize our collective existence as moral beings, the ideal world for the intersection of life, when we come together and negotiate how to live, how to eat, how to procreate, how to die together. Human beings, also known as moral beings, we have an impulse to help, not to hinder. That is our impulse. In the intersection of the church, where we find love, where we are called to compassion, to treat each other with full dignity and worthiness, to see the face of the holy in the other. This is our role. This is what we're called to do. Even Hannah Arendt said, it is clear that the individual has become an even stronger source of moral discernment. In the end, her analysis was of hope. So let us turn to our moral compass, where we engage in self-reflection, where we welcome the questions, where we welcome each other with our diversity, and we bear witness to one another. Once again, becoming allies, we advocate for change and demand action when needed, where we are both comfortable and uncomfortable with our heart's discontent. As religious liberals, my beloved, that is you and me. We are covenantal people, singing the song of hope throughout the ages, singing the song of hope again and again, generation to generation, as we create the hostel of hope. May it be so, blessed be, and amen. I invite you to rise as you're able, embody your spirit for 344, a promise through the ages rings. I invite you to bring your voices together as we extinguish our chalice. The words are in our hearts as well as in our program. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go forth into this world, my beloved. Go forth with light burning in your heart, in your body, in your mind, and may it be the light of hope. Pass it on in each intersection that you come to. Pass it on. Others need it. And when you are able, offer hope through help. And when you need, ask for it. We will be there for you. Return again with love. Blessed be.
Our postlude this morning, I just want to say that it's a brand new thing that neither I nor my helpers have sung before. So we put this together this morning, and it's just an offering to you and an expression of how our lives are woven together. So I'm going to grab a pitch, and then I'll do it. We are weaving our lives. We are weaving our hearts and our minds. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our journeys through.
We are weaving our lives. We are weaving our hearts and our minds. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our
We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our journey.
We are weaving our
We
lives.
are weaving our lives.
We are weaving our blanket of a
are
light.
weaving our hearts
We
and our
are
minds.
weaving a basket
We
to
are
weave.
weaving